If you looked at the film poster for Spontaneous, a film from Brian Duffield, you would think that this is your typical sappy chick flick. But Spontaneous is complicated. This film has more layers than an onion donkey. On the surface, it has all the makings of a great romance. But within the first 10 minutes, you realize there is so much more to this story than just two kids falling for each other. This isn't your everyday high school love story. In fact, I would argue that this isn't a love story at all. It's more the story of a young girl finding her joy in life. In the beginning of the movie, we follow Mara Carlisle during her senior year of high school. Everything seems like a typical Monday, that is until one of her classmates explodes like a burrito left in the microwave for too long. There wasn't a bomb or any type of explosion, she just kinda pops. The class is then hauled off to a quarantine zone. This is where we meet Dylan. Katherine Langford and Charlie Plummer have a lot of chemistry together and make one of the cutest on-screen couples in some time. With their classmates continuing to spontaneously explode, they use this dark trauma as a way to bond. When the two of them meet, the story then starts to follow the both of them. This is still Mara's story, but it's like the lens widens just enough for Dylan to fit in the frame as well. After having no luck finding a reason for what seems to be random explosions, the government is forced to intervene. They gather the entire class and once again quarantine them, this time on a much larger scale and maybe even permanent. This is when the tone starts to get a bit darker and is only brightened by the couple's optimism. They start to test different combinations of drugs on the kids, hoping to find a cure. After some time, it seems like they found one that works and the kids are finally released. This most recent traumatic experience helps the couple get closer than ever. Dylan was teased as a child for losing his dad in a rumored manure accident. Before they were quarantined for the second time, he told Mara that he would go to his old barn and dance by himself to cope with the loss. After being released, Mara surprises Dylan for his birthday by bringing him to an old barn lit only with Christmas lights. She tells him that he doesn't have to dance alone anymore, and the two of them spend the rest of the night just dancing to 80s music, and it's here that they decide to spend their summer on the road, exploring the country. They were only months away from graduating, so the higher-ups thought it would be a good idea to lock down the school to only their class while they complete their last year of high school. When they returned to school, the pharmaceutical company sent a rep to talk to the kids about how the drug works. During a live presentation involving one of the kids, the classmates once again began to spontaneously explode with no warning. In a panic, the kids rush for the doors as the classmates around them explode into bloody messes. After getting separated in the confusion, the lovers are finally reunited outside. As they hold hands and look into each other's eyes, you can almost feel what happens next. The camera is set on Dylan from Mara's perspective when the screen goes red. We don't see or hear anything for a few seconds, just left wondering what happened. We then see a blood-soaked Mara walking down the street. She's alone now as she narrates her thoughts. She talks about how a piece of his jawbone hit her forehead. She didn't feel it though. She didn't feel anything at all, only emptiness. The story then shifts back to Mara. We end the story the same way we started, with Mara once again the main focus. The movie is no longer about a couple falling in love, but a young girl traumatized by witnessing her first love explode right in front of her. Not able to handle living in fear that she might explode at any moment, she resorts to alcohol and isolation to cope. After the first explosion, before her and Dylan had a connection, we saw her turn to drugs for comfort. With Dylan now out of the picture, once again drugs and alcohol is Mara's only escape from the sadness and guilt that she feels. Mara hits her lowest point when discovering an online forum connecting her to all the deaths for what is now dubbed the Covington Curse. During their class's prom/graduation celebration, Mara's pain is on full display. Her best friend, who has been a side character for most of this, tries to reassure her that though her future isn't guaranteed, she wants to be a part of Mara's life. This didn't quite reach the drunken Mara, but her words definitely left an impact. Mara stumbles on stage in a heartbroken speech, reveals a much more sensitive side. She apologizes for causing the curse, and she doesn't understand why it's happening, but she's so sorry. Her night ends at Dylan's grave. She spends some time talking to her now lost love. As she opens up, she gets a visitor. It turns out Dylan's mother went to visit the grave as well. She lies next to Mara and they have a heart-to-heart. It's here Dylan's mother is able to reach Mara on a level no one else had before. With the same charm seen in Dylan, she convinces Mara that she has to keep moving forward. Her life isn't over yet. The next morning, a now sober Mara sees things with new eyes. Mara thinks back to Dylan and their promise to travel the country. We fast forward a few months with no explosions. They seem to finally gotten the right combinations of drugs to at least prolong their life a bit longer. As the wound on her forehead left by her lover's fragmented skull bone heals, so does the wound left in her heart. She decides to leave her hometown of Covington in the same ice cream truck that Dylan bought to take their trip. As Mara drives away, she shares with us her new take on life. She talks about all the possibilities she has. She has her whole life in front of her now. She can date guys, write a novel, or hell, even be president. She no longer will be a victim of life's bullshit. Instead, she will put her middle finger up and say, "Fuck you, life. I'm gonna be amazing despite everything you throw at me. Bad shit will happen. It's inevitable. Life is a cruel place and nothing is fair. We are promised absolutely nothing." She is gonna live in the moment and not waste any time. We don't know what will happen next, so she is going to take it one moment at a time. Life itself was a spontaneous occurrence that happened without warning, and this gift can be taken away from us at any time. On the surface, you may only see a love story, but at its core, Spontaneous is a story that will open your eyes to how fragile life really is. Having the unfortunate release time as an actual global pandemic was occurring, Spontaneous is a movie that really didn't get a chance to succeed in 2020. With such a great story, I can see this movie growing in popularity in the next few years. Katherine Langford really nails this role and her performance is really underrated. I hope you guys give this movie a shot. Thank you so much for watching. Laters on the Minjay.